What's up, guys? This is What If Issei Hyodo Had Sunshine. Now, I know I'm not the best at it, but I was trying to do a thumbnail. So, yeah. He will still have the boosted gear, though. Now, in this version, Issei's a slight bit different. If you're wondering what I mean by different. When he was born, he was used to being alone. As most people really didn't. Well, he was spoiled by his parents, but most people stayed away from him. Because he was abnormally strong for his age. But they'd only ever test his strength in the daytime. At nighttime, he was a normal kid. Or at least everyone thought he was normal. They did notice that no matter how hot it got, he was completely fine. And he had a distinct hatred of shirts. Except for the red one he wore. But even then, he would take that one off in the daytime. Although he did have to wear it for school. That was about it. Now, Issei was a very nice kid, in a sense. He was a good kid, but he would always be a little bit more rambunctious than others. He had no fear. He was very proud of himself, and he wanted everyone to know it. He had no filter. If he called you weak, it's because he felt you were weaker than him. Which is why I called most people weak. But there was certain people he wouldn't call weak. Like his parents, because he actually cared about them. Now, in this version, we're going to time skip everything until Yuma. You know, basically we're going to start it at the start of the anime. Because his childhood went pretty shitty, no friends, like that. He still met Mitsuda and Morohanma, and they were intrigued by how strong the guy was. And he was a very proud man, but he was still a little bit of a perv. Although he never saw any woman being perfect enough for him. As he would walk around. Now, if you're wondering how he got sunshine, in this version, sunshine is a heavenly grace. Kind of like Seven Deadly Sins. It's what the angels all have. The heavenly grace sunshine belonged to Azazel. In the daytime he was stronger. But he couldn't use it the way Issei does, because the way Issei has it, it's the full power of sunshine. The way Azazel had it, he wasn't as strong with it. He's still twice as strong as Issei's normal strength, though, in the daytime, though. So, yeah. Now, he lost it when he stopped being a pure angel. It would kind of fall and go to someone else. Anyone else, really. As I was saying, as Issei would go through his years, and he was always a really big kid, like, he was at school all day, but he was huge all in class, and they even always had to have the air conditioner on to keep it from burning people. Sorry about that, guys. Them having to have the air conditioner on 24/7 in the classroom, or else they would probably just get all burned up. What Issei doesn't tell them is that he wears certain things in his clothes. Like giant ice packs all over his body so he doesn't heat up too much, because he knows what his body temperature is. It's hot as fuck. It doesn't hurt him, but it hurts everyone around him. And keep in mind, he's like 6'4", and he's ripped. Like, he is built like this. And this is what he likes to wear, like, outside normally. This is what he has to wear at school, like, different colors, but yeah. Now, in this version, he still would have the boosted gear, of course, but we get to see him going on meeting Yuma, and she's seeing how huge he was, and she was surprised. She thought maybe this guy does have a sacred gear, one that lets him be huge as fuck. Nope. Every angel has their own, like, ability. Although every fallen one lost it whenever they stopped being an angel. When they left their purity, they lost that ability. Now, you can get it, they could get it back, but it would be very difficult. Now, that would make it where it was a pretty odd kind of thing. As Issei towered over her, and what'd she do? It's nighttime, so he's not exactly, it's dark outside, so he's not exactly towering over her at this point. He looks eye level with her. And she was surprised. She thought he was taller. When she was staring at him all day, he looked a lot bigger. And Issei's used to having eyes on him, so he's used to it. He would look at her when she asked him to go on a date with her, and he would, in this more nighttime form of him being a little bit more of just normal Issei, say, yeah. Although he would still be very proud because he was, still a little bit in the sun. But as he finished walking home, it got dark, and he was just ecstatic. He finally got a girlfriend. But the date was set for that Saturday, which was the next morning. I'm going to say the next morning. So he gets ready and gets into this looking clothes, because it's the only really nice clothes he has. And he wears the exact copy of this, purple and all. Now, granted, Issei yet does not have a mustache, but he's trying to grow one. But he decides to shave it off right before the date. Now, if y'all don't know, that's the ultimate power of anime, mustache. I'm kidding, but yeah. So the second he, when he goes out on this date, he looks ripped, beyond buff. Every step he takes looks terrifying. But Yuma was expecting him to be this big. Although she was surprised how small he looked before. Maybe it was just because it was nighttime. Who knows? She was confused, but didn't really pay much attention to it, thinking it's just some kid, whatever. As she would proceed to go on the date and try to drag him along, noting how hot his arms really are. It's like he's surrounded by the sun. Which Issei has kept a little secret from everyone, even his parents. He can make little fireballs in his hand. His physical strength is crazy, but he can make this cruel sun. He has the cruel sun. The flare ability and the divine sword Escanor, as well as the divine spear Escanor. Although they would be called divine spear and divine sword Issei instead, because he is still as self-centered as Escanor would be. Now, she would tell him of this thing, it was a little knick-knack, soul weapon thing. It was an ancient axe that hadn't been moved in years. It was the original weapon original weapon of Azazel. He wasn't able to pick it up anymore because he was no longer a pure angel. And he had no use for it with sunshine now being out of his hands. And they found it to be Kuo's most notable spot. Sorry about that. As they would see it, kind of Kuo's biggest thing, and it was a little joke. Whoever could pull the axe from the ground could do whatever they wanted. They were considered the king of Kuo. Now, almost everyone has tried except for Issei. Mitsuda and Motohama are out there trying right at this point, and Issei sees them. He takes 3 steps. And world's strongest athletes haven't been able to lift this thing off the ground. And there's a few girls who make comments, if a guy could pick that up, I'd instantly go out with him. And that's why Mitsuda and Motohama are trying. This is when Yuma would actually say, I know that axe. That's Azazel's old axe. No one can pick that up because they're just humans. You'd have to be at least almost as strong. You'd have to be half as strong as I am to even have a shot at being able to lift it. And you'd have to have pure ability. You'd have to have a pure sun-like ability. But that ability's been lost for years. As you would see him take 3 steps. And he said, This is Divine Axe Rita. A pity human like, a pathetic creature like you does not deserve to touch her handle. As he would grab it and lift it up with one hand. Now, it was rusty and old, but he was able to swing it once and knock all that rust, or what it looked like rust, off of it. It was really just dirt. He swung once and got all that dirt, everything off. As he picked up a rag and cleaned it off properly, he stood up, having it on his shoulder. Kind of like this. As he would say, I am the only one worthy to wield such things. Every step he takes is making what almost looks like dents in the ground. As this guy who's been taking care of this blade in his family for generations, this axe that no one's been able to lift. He was impressed. He said, "You're the chosen one." As they would get to see how strong. As the guy was impressed, actively giving him an axe taking care kit, which is mainly made for this axe. And what's untold is that it's actually got holy objects to clean the blade. Like actual holy things that are made to specifically clean holy weapons. But they didn't know. They were like, it was what was with it. Since it was what very taken care of by Azazel. Now, Issei would take this as a gift and he would say thank you so very much. Now, at this point, sorry about that, guys. At this point, everyone's a little bit worried. Like, how is this dude so fucking strong? No one should be that strong. Especially Rainier. She went to name Yuma Amano. And this is when she would call a few other people. As she would call Mildred. Yeah, she would call Donasik, Mildred, and damn it, what was the other one's name? Whatever. All the fallen angels would be there, as even Freed was called. Now, they would all show up at the end of the date, whenever she would say, "Would you die for me?" As this is when it's getting dark again, so he doesn't have the same strength. He's just a little bit stronger than normal Issei. Him still barely being able to hold the axe as he sets it down. No. He went to swing it, but he was too slow as he got stabbed with a light spear. As the axe would hit the floor, you would see the sun in his eyes for a mere second, thinking about Rias as he stood up. As he punched once, almost killing her, but getting stopped by a light spear which shattered on impact. As every punch he was about to throw a second punch when he'd hit the floor. Exhausted. As he collapsed to the floor, he was never able to really get up again. He thought he was hurt, but he didn't know what was gonna happen next. They all pulled the weapons up. All these light spears, and they all stabbed into where the light spear had pierced him previously, stabbing and tearing it up, to where there was a giant hole in his chest, as he was on the ground. But he stood up. He wasn't going to die laying down like a weakling. As he picked his knuckles up, and you could see rage in his eyes, he threw one solid punch. Stopped by one hand, though. That's right, even Donasik is strong enough to overwhelm a weakened Issei. As he would try his best to create the sun in his hand. As he said, cruel sun. Barely being able to make one the size of a fist above his finger. As he launched it, it wasn't strong enough. And it was even skewered by a light spear. Even though it broke the light spear, it was still not able to do anything. They would brush it off. As this little tab Issei was given earlier, he had in his pocket still, he thought about Rias, how he would never be able to give her the poetry he had written for her. Because this is nighttime him. It's like nighttime Escanor. He's still poetry. And he thinks Rhys is the only one perfect enough for him. As you would hear, goodbye. A small goodbye as he was completely blacked out. He would pick himself up out. He thought he was confused what happened. As he woke up in his bed the next morning without the axe. And he went there way early in the morning. Like, there wasn't even the sun out yet. As the sun started to come up, just barely. Hold on a second, guys. Sorry, guys, my dumbass little brother wanted to interrupt me again. Back to what if. As we get to see him going there, the sun barely comes up. At like 6 a.m. Actually, I'm going to say 5 a.m. is when the sun comes up. As he picks his hand up, lifting the axe up, just barely off the ground. Getting it completely off the ground as he said, that just feels right. As he started walking back home. Although he was surprised, why was his dream so fucking weird? He didn't have her contact, but he had the axe. And it was left exactly where he fell. Well, where he had set it down before he fell, because no one could fucking move it. It was the one part of evidence no one there could fucking move. The cleaning kit was there too, right next to the axe. As he would pick them both up and walk home, he would set the axe down in his room. Although, it would barely work. As he would set the cleaning kit next to it as he would walk away. As he would be ready and go to school, he would wear his normal uniform, but as he fills it up completely, it would look a little bit different. Now, he was very much a fan of really baggy clothes, because they would finally fit him when he was huge. Now, everyone just thought Issei was just big, and he hid the fact he was that small in the nighttime. His parents didn't even know he shrunk when it turned nighttime. Now, he was very powerful, though. And he would talk to Mitsuda and Motohanma, they would have their little talk. And he was feeling weird. Why was he feeling like this? He could see in the dark. His strength, while it was always incredible, he had to hold back even more so he didn't shatter everything with his fingers. He was confused. Why did he feel like he was in broad daylight when it was really late? He was stronger, faster. He was already smarter. His pride wasn't as much there, but it was still something there. As he would take a step and lift his hand, as he would look at this angel, this fallen one, as she would try to stab him, her spear would bounce off of him. This is when he would meet, what's his name? Donaseek. As he would still be completely fine, Donaseek would stab, it would bounce off. The first spear that was chucked, it bounced off his back, as he looked dead at him, saying, "You, how are you not dead?" More importantly, how is your... Oh shit. As they looked on his back, as his shirt was ripped by the amount of rage and flames around him. He took it off so it wouldn't burn, but it was still burning in his hand. As a cruel sun would appear, and they would look at his back. They didn't think he had a tattoo or anything, but apparently he did. A lion. Something that he never showed anybody. It was kind of a hidden secret he kept for himself. That's why every time he didn't go with a shirt, it would still have the back, at least somewhat of it, so it would hide it. But at this point, he was fine with it. As he took one step, he would ball his knuckles and one-shot Donaseek, sending him flying into the dirt. Almost killing him with that one shot, as it would burn clean into his face, leaving a burn mark really bad. Cruel son. Leaving him looking like a burnt Esterosa against actual Escanor. So yeah, he looked crispy, like Dobby levels of crispy. But then he was straight up getting with a big boot all the way to the church. As he would fly, basically get flung in, as he would land right on one of the pews. Well, a chair, actually, that was in the front of the room. Almost like a throne, but he would be surprised. If you landed in there, he was almost knocked completely out. He had like 5 broken ribs and a fucking fractured arm. As I said, that guy hits hard as fuck. Because, well, he does. As you would see how strong Issei was as he held, I am the one who decides such things. Since Donaseek did say, you should be dead. I should be dead. Ha. I decide such things. Or, I should be dead. Who decided that? I am the one who gets to decide such things. At hearing this, he was terrified as he said, yeah, that guy's not dead. What, but we stabbed him. We saw the life flee out of his eyes. Yeah, well, the big-ass boot print on my chest, the broken ribs and arm, and the burned face, and rest of my body being injured, says otherwise. As they would basically say, we have the Phoenix Tears. As I've explained, I think I've explained it in another video, but here's how they get them Phoenix Tears. Basically just black market, underworld market. Pretty much, they're pretty easy to buy, you just have to know a guy. And even they know people. They're old enough, they know people, yada yada yada. They can buy them. It's one of those things, it's like, it makes sense, right? Right. As he would walk away with full force. And with authority in his voice as he got home. I'm home. His friends would say, welcome home, honey. As they would say, I think it's time you had your own place. What do you mean? Well, your father and I have been thinking, and... yeah, we're moving. What? Yes. Where? Well, we were thinking about going to... as they say... So y'all are moving away that far. Yep. They moved directly on the other side of Japan. Alright. Being that Issei was 16 and basically was a grown man, they were fine with it. They had a lot of money saved up, almost millions, and they could basically just live out their life at the other place. And Issei had money. Like, they had money, they just decided to keep it in a regular thing. And Issei had a fund, like, thousands of dollars in that money. As they would say, we left you 100K in your bank account. And there's food in the fridge. Goodbye, honey. As this is when he sees them move out. What? As they would give him the keys to the house and even show that he's the new owner. Sweet. As they would proceed to even give him this. Good job. As they would basically fly out with all their stuff. Giving Issei the little house they had, since they already had like a few, they had a summer home. But that was about it. since it was all the way out on the other side of Japan, they usually don't go there unless it's like actually big events because it's so far away. But they wanted to move there all the way, so they did. And Issei stayed in Kuo. Meaning that everyone could see just how crazy this was. As he stood above everything in his own home. He saw his giant mattress that could barely withstand his size whenever he was in daytime form. He picked it up. And even though it was nighttime, he still was able to move it all the way to his house. The thing is, Rias wasn't able to talk to him, so she comes in that night to his home. He wakes up in the middle of the night seeing Rias, and he stands up and saying, "Hello, Rias. How can I help you? And what are you doing in my home?" "Well, you're a devil now." "Wait, what?" As he would see his wings fly out. "What the fuck?" As the entire Core Research Club was there. Issei saw Kiba, the Prince of Kuo. But if Kiba was the prince, Issei was damn sure the king, since he stood over Kiba and said, "Hello, Prince." As this is when you hear, "Hello, King of Kuo," Issei. "Ah, you remembered me. It's hard to forget you. Of course." As they would actually sit down and actually have a good old cup and everything. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, guys. My brother just decided to come in my house, be annoying again, and take my screwdriver. Of fucking course he does. Anyway. He would proceed to just absolutely just hear them out, saying he's a devil. And he said, "Huh? But I'm supposed to be the human pinnacle of strength." "You are, but now you're a devil." Damn it. How do I rank in on strength, then? On devils? Above all, I'm assuming. Sorry about that, guys. Above all, I'm assuming. No. What? I don't even know if you're stronger than everyone in this room. Ha ha ha. Is this when he was more nighttimey, so he wasn't as proud of himself and everything, but he was actually considerably, he was knowledgeable, so he wasn't like, "Oh, I'm the strongest guy ever." No, he figured it out. As he would state, so I'm guessing that I'd have to get used to my powers. Yes. This is what allows him to actively walk outside. As the next morning, he was walking to school, he met Asya, and she saw his proud, demeanor. The thing is, when he was younger, he was always ostracized by other kids his age because he was just unstoppable and always on fire. Or at least really warm like he was on fire. This is what made it where he always acted so cocky. Because why not be cocky when you're that guy? As he would proceed to walk outside and relax for a few. As he would enjoy himself for a while, he was completely fine. Sitting down and relaxing just a little bit. This being all that Hello. As Issei would state that he was the one. And even since he didn't have any injuries, he was just impressed to see her. And even told her how he had a similar kind of childhood, how everyone ostracized him for his crazy amount of strength. Being understanding, they were kind of with that whole thing. Now, he would proceed to walk her to church as he would flex his power in the daytime with just enough to where it was kind of noted by everyone there. Oh shit, he's pissed. Now, he would still do that finisher thing, and he would still have unlocked the boosted gear by now. And the thing is, he's unlocked it to about the second stage, because of just how strong he actually is. He's already able to talk to Drake. In fact, in the daytime, he can even talk to Drake normally. Like, he's that strong that he can easily just walk around with Drag out. Although, he has noticed that at noon, anytime you hear boost, 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 the infinite power he has just is unstoppable. As we're going to end this off right before Issei has to save Asya, because the same thing happened. When he met Fried, he kicked the shit out of him, but it was still nighttime, so he still got his ass kicked. He had to summon what little strength he had from the daytime to punch Fried in the face. Now, if you're wondering how he summons that little bit of strength and becomes a little bit larger in the nighttime, it's because of the moon. When it's a full moon out, he has a little bit of the strength from the sun to punch one more time. And that's the end of part 1. See y'all in a few. Well, see y'all when I make part 2.